So, yeah, the world is doomed to blah blah blah. What are we actually going to be doing here? In the last video, we talked about the kind of things we'll be thinking about, the big picture stuff. And that's important, yeah, but I'm sure a large part of you is like, you still haven't told us what professional and technical report writing actually is. Well, that's why we're here. This class is in a whole lot of ways. It's absolutely nothing like what you did in Comp 1. We have different goals, we have different means, we have different things of importance. The key elements to take away. First off, because we're not doing standard college composition writing, some people will come in here thinking that it's just stupid brain dead stuff. I try very hard not to make it stupid brain dead stuff because, well, frankly, that's boring as heck for all of us. This is very thought based writing still. It's of a different time, but thinking in this class is not optional. You are going to have to think critically, just probably in slightly different ways than you did in Comp 1. Another key difference between Comp 1 writing and what we're doing here is in Comp 1, awareness of the rhetorical situation was, of course, very important, but it's that much more important here. When you're in a Composition 1 class, you pretty much know who your audience is. The teacher, right? They're the one who gives you the grade. They're probably the only people who are ever going to read this thing. That's not the case when you get out in the big wide world. And the assignments in this class do kind of reflect that. You are going to be writing stuff to people from a wide variety of audiences. We'll have stuff that's written towards people from the general public. We'll have stuff that's written towards executives. We'll have stuff that's written towards fellow engineers and such. And they all have different requirements. So being aware of the rhetorical situation is a little bit more important here. The third way that the writing here is really different is there is a massively increased awareness of visual design. Stuff has to look good. And it has to look good not just because you don't want to look like a Neanderthal writing with crayons. My apologies to any Neanderthals taking this class. But good looking documents are usable documents. Visual design is important, not because we just want to make it pretty, but because well designed documents that look good are going to be easy to use. Let me give you an example. Say you decided you wanted to put out a workout plan for someone. I don't know, maybe you decided to finally get in shape while everyone else is in pandemic plague mode, or maybe it's your job, whatever. You could find a bunch of exercises from a book or a chart and write them down. This, though, isn't going to be all that much useful to anyone because it's hard to find any information here and it's hard to distinguish between the various bits of information. This is a revision. Typed is better than handwritten, obviously, because you can read typed stuff a lot better. But this is also slightly more organized. Now, the organization isn't consistent and it doesn't look all that visually attractive yet. And that might cause the brain to start to blank out a little bit when you're looking for something in the column on the left, which has 3 days worth of workouts. Excuse me, 4 days. So it's not ideal. If you revise it and try to get something that looks more professional and functional, you might come up with something like this. The best thing about this design is it introduces clear separations between the various sections. I don't have to guess what day I'm on because there are nice big boxes that separate out things. There's the border around the outside, which encloses the full workout, so I know anything below that is a note of some sort. And this is a lot more usable. However, it could be better. Because now, if I'm doing a Tuesday exercise, you see those page numbers? I don't want to have to go to a book or look at footnotes to tell me how to do something. So you revise and include more details. This is a whole lot easier to follow than any of them because, well, lo and behold, there are pictures there, and I know exactly what I need to do. Visual design is, yes, about making it pretty, but it's about making it functional. This web page is an example of good usability. I can see very quickly what the company is. That's vital information. I need to know I'm in the right place. If I'm looking to find out what types of services they have, hey, they've got them in nice little boxes around here, so they're easy to find out. The style of colors is clean and consistent, so I know something in that shade of blue right here is going to be a link of some sort, shape, or form. Usability. So the three big areas where this is going to be different than Comp 1 writing is one, it's going to require you to think critically, yes, but it will make you think critically in a different way, most likely. Part of that's because, two, you'll be writing towards a different range of audiences. You're not going to be writing towards the same audience all semester, so you have to think about what this audience wants as opposed to what this audience wants. And three, visual design is important. Now, let's talk about the specific types of reports we'll be doing. There are a bunch of different types of documents. They each have their own requirements, or I'll talk about them to a certain extent, but this is why you need a textbook, because it maps out in detail the requirements of each genre of document. As far as the big ones we'll be doing, we're going to start off with a self-profile. We'll talk more specific detail about that later, but you got to be able to write about yourself in a way that looks professional. You'll have to do job application material because, yes, when you get out there, you're actually going to have to find a job. So it would be good if I started making you think about that kind of stuff. And we'll talk more about that later in the video as well. You will do memos. Memos are ways of communicating brief nuggets of information and establishing a paper trail. We'll be doing a few of those. Again, the textbook does tell you how to write memos. Check out the index. But we have a few assignments that will be based on them. We'll be doing a set of instructions because, as people in scientific or technical fields, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to have to end up explaining something to someone. Can you do it clearly? And can you do it in a way which is easy to read? And we'll be doing two types of reports: informal reports and formal reports. The differences between them: informal reports aren't really informal. It's not like you're going to say, "Hey, bud," anywhere in it. They're more shorter reports designed to give basic, more in-depth blasts of information than memos, but they're the kind of thing I want to send to a boss. Hey, you might want to consider thinking about this, or I want to give you an overview of this information. They're stuff designed to get someone to start thinking about something. Formal reports are formal in that they're longer and they have specific requirements for parts and sections. There's going to be a glossary, there's going to be a table of contents, there's going to be an abstract, so on and so forth. And the formal reports, being longer, are usually the kind of document which you're going to try to get someone to change what your organization is doing. I want my company to invest in a new product. I'm going to write a formal report about it because I need enough space to include all the information, all the documentation. Now, these are all well and good, but if you're trying to get a major change in your company, you're probably also going to have to talk to somebody about it. So we'll be doing a presentation as well. And we will talk about that later in the semester. If you want details on any of these assignments, though, they're all in the major assignment sheet, which is in the week one folder. It's also in course documents along with the syllabus. Now, let's talk about the first two things that are due. Self profile. No, not a dating profile, but something trying to put across you in a professional setting. All the details for the major and minor assignments are in the assignment sheet, but I pulled out the information for both of these. So let's look at them. Let's talk about the self profile. This is all pulled from the major assignment sheet. It's got all the minor assignments in there as well. So you can look up the specific information. The self profile is 1 page maximum. Um, First off, all these documents are going to involve a certain amount of role playing. I want you to start thinking like you're already in the field. I want your writing to reflect you as if you're already in the field. The best way to start to behave and act like a professional is to assume that you're a professional. So we're going to take that point of view. The scenario here is that you're working as a business writer, your current company, in an effort to promote both internal cohesiveness and public organizational transparency, is putting together a directory of all of its employees. This is the kind of thing companies do from time to time. I know that if you go to most major companies and look at their website, you'll probably have a directory of at least the top few officials. We're pretending that we're in a company where they want all the employees. Beyond just listing contact information, titles, and degrees, however, your employer wants an actual biographical profile. Your job is to write your own profile. See, even teachers end up not being able to talk. You'll be writing your own profile for publication both within the company and to the public. Format. There are 4 things I need you to make sure you have within your self profile. I need a photo of you. Try to make it a professional photo. I have a student in the past who wouldn't stop putting in pictures of himself at the bar with a friend of his. Not really businesslike. Give me basic biographical information. I don't need to hear your deepest secrets, but if you're trying to paint a picture of yourself, some basic information is very appropriate. Career interests and goals. What do you want to specialize in? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? That kind of stuff. And finally, you should probably end up building to some personal factoids to humanize yourself. Humanizing yourself, making yourself seem like a nice person is part of the job. But keep in mind, this is a company document, so you do the official looking stuff first. Additionally, your profile will serve as the template for the rest of the company employees. So, in addition to including adequate information, your profile must also be professional and visually attractive in appearance. Yeah, I know we haven't talked about document design yet. It's still early in the semester, but you've got time to revise this. I allow you to revise any of your assignments up through somewhere in week 14. The exact date is in the syllabus. Requirements. You will be submitting your self profile either as a Word document or a PDF. Those are the 2 formats that I can guarantee every program will be able to save as, and I can guarantee that I'll be able to open both of those. So, one of those 2 forms. Your profile should use language and design appropriate for both public and internal consumption. Whenever possible, this should be based on real world information. Don't act like you're the first astronaut to go to Mars, for instance. It should be proofread for grammar, mechanics, typo, and organization. Should be visually appealing and use graphics as appropriate. Now, when you turn this in, you're actually going to be submitting it to a section of the discussion board, so the rest of the class will be able to see it as well. I've already posted a profile that I've done of myself. I'm not saying yours has to look anything like mine. Students in the past have wanted to get a basic idea of what these things are supposed to look like, so I put together a brief one. I put a different heading so it stands out. I put a professional looking picture. I start off with credentials, go into interest, and get more humanizing as we go through the document. I include contact information. If you want to rely on the contact information, I don't care. It's how well you can present the thing. This is going to be, it is available in the discussion board, so you can look at it. And if you want to borrow ideas, fine, just make them your own. Employ your own design sense to them. You will be posting your own profile to the discussion board, and I encourage you, and might even require you, to go and look at everybody's and ask people some questions and so on and so forth. Now, let's talk about the first major assignment, which will be due in week 2. Job job application material. The first thing you need to know is that I'm well aware that nobody knows what this job market is going to look like once COVID finally clears, assuming it does clear. But if the situation before COVID was anything to judge by, there will most likely be more people looking for jobs than people who are hiring. That means in the situation, they're not desperate to hire somebody. You're going to be needing to put yourself above the crowd. Because if I'm the person who has to go through a bunch of applications, chances are I'm going to be searching only for the great people. And if there is anything that makes me go, this is not a diamond in the rough, I'll toss it. Your job is to make sure you do solid enough work to where I'm going to be interested in you. From the major assignment sheet, the scenario. Your first test is to make clear how attractive of a job candidate and how valuable of an employee you would be. Your specific task is to find a job. Specifically, you need to find a specific, I use that word too much, actual job posting for a company in your field and prepare application material. Job in question can be a standard entry level position or anything else for which you might actually apply. Yes, it needs to be a real job posting you're going to apply for. Go and look to see what people in the field you plan to go into actually want. See what the jobs are available. Do some research and learn something about those jobs. In fact, the assignment does say to do the best job, you should research your company and the position, and you should use that information to better craft your application material, which is always the case when you apply for a job. The more specified you can make your job application material look, the better chance you have of actually getting a job. Moving on. Format. The assignment should include, at minimum, a job posting for a specific position in an actual company. Most people find them on Monster or LinkedIn or something like that. A lot of people will go to the actual big companies and see if they have job postings. So there's tons of jobs out there online, but this is going to be a lot more valuable to you if you look at an actual job in your field, because you want to get yourself thinking as a professional as soon as possible. It helps to know what the entry level jobs actually will be. I did have a colleague, a friend of mine, who went to school to be a computer programmer because many reasons he liked computers, but he also just didn't like talking to anyone. And he thought that as a computer programmer, all he'd have to do was program computers. No. If he would have done some research, he would have known that half of his job is talking with clients and finding out what they want. Well, you're going to go ahead and look to see what the jobs require, so that's not going to be an issue for you. This is why you're looking at a specific job posting. A resume, a letter of application. We'll talk about all these in a bit more detail in a bit. Your target audience will be a hiring manager at your company. Chief criterion for your work would be, with these documents, get the applicant an interview. And that's kind of what I'm going to be thinking of when I grade them. If they make me think, hey, I want to talk to this person, you're going to get a good grade. If they make me think, it's probably also going to reflect in the grade. You've got chances to revise, yeah, but make it as good as you can. Try to make me want to hire you. Requirements: submit them as 3 separate documents, saved as either Word or PDF file. We talked about them just a minute ago. Your document should be based on where you actually imagine yourself if, after graduation, you spend 2 years working as a professional writer. The information may be embellished, but it should follow logically from your current skills and experiences. And this is important. As I said, you're not actually going to apply for one of these jobs right now because if you had the skills to get an entry level job, I'm assuming you just go ahead and get an entry level job. The reason you're in college is to get those skills. I want you to act as if you already have the skills. I'm not grading you based on the accuracy of the information here. You can embellish, you can lie a bit on these things as long as it's relatively reasonable. Imagine where you'll be in 6 years and write the application based on that. Um, just try to be reasonable about it. Don't tell me that you solved quantum mechanics or something like that. It should follow logically from your current skills and experiences. So start with what you got now, and then write from what you would have built onto that in the next 4 or 5 years. All work should be proofread, visually appealing, graphics is appropriate, follow all format guidelines for each style of document. If you can't remember what a business letter looks like, go to the book. For the job posting, either cut and paste the posting into a Word document or save it if found online as a PDF. Most likely you're going to find these things online. We're going to talk about all the job application documents in more detail in a later video, but just as a brief overview, the job posting is what they want, the kind of needs that the company has. The letter is you saying why you're the perfect candidate for the job, drawing connections for them. I can do this for you because I've already done this. I'd be the perfect person to do this for you because I already did that. The resume is the listing of your jobs. You write out your job skills and all your skills, and you try to write them in a way which also makes me think, hey, these are the perfect skills for this job. As I said, more details are coming on both of those documents. If you want to know the format for a resume or cover letter, I would look at your textbook first. And there's no harm, and I, in fact, recommend going online and looking at people's resumes to see what kind of stuff people are actually doing. We're going to go into more detail on the specifics of the resume, the cover letter, and all that in the next video. See you then.